This is a 35mm film single lens reflex camera, or an SLR. This is a full frame 35mm sensor digital single reflex camera, or DSLR. And this is a crop frame 26.7mm sensor digital single reflex camera, or DSLR. This is a 50mm prime or fixed or not a zoom lens. This is a 105 to 200mm zoom lens. But where do those measurements come from? Those are measurements of focal length, as we've discussed before and will discuss again. The higher the number, the more telephoto the shot. The lower the number, the wider the shot. But where does that millimeter measurement come from? Well, specifically it has to do with how light behaves in a lens. When light passes through a glass element of a lens, it bends and flips the image, and that is what eventually hits the film or the sensor. Where the bent beams of light meet as they flip is called the optical center, or the point of convergence. It has a few names. When the glass elements are moved in relation to each other, it moves that optical center and changes where the point of focus is in the image. When any lens is focused to infinity, but not beyond, the distance between the optical center and the film or the sensor is its focal length. Simple, right? Well, here's where it can get a little more complicated. In the 1920s, rangefinder cameras became a huge success with the general public. They also introduced 35mm film as the standard film size in consumer cameras, a standard that has stuck even into the digital age, mainly because people already had in their head what 20mm, 50mm, 200mm looked like on a 35mm film camera. They also wanted to be able to use the lenses they already had. See, the general idea of the bigger the number, the longer the focal length, that exists no matter what. But how much of that image you actually see is determined by the size of the photosensitive material at the back of your camera. So a 35mm lens on a large format camera with an 8x10 plate gives you a much wider shot than a 35mm on an SLR. This is why when you put a full frame lens or a lens made for a 35mm sensor on a crop frame camera, you need to use a multiplying factor to find its effective focal length. The camera sensor is smaller than traditional film, so less of the image is captured. Camera companies started releasing lenses made specifically for their crop frame cameras, labeling them with their equivalent full frame focal length because they didn't want to have to try to explain everything I just said in 3 minutes in a 30-second ad. And honestly, I can't blame them. I mean, it took me 3 minutes to say it, and that's the quick version. So that's where those measurements come from. Thank you so much for watching. I've got some full-length videos cooking, so keep an eye out for those, and I'll see you next time.